The metaverse hummed like a dream stitched together by fragile code, but then came the fracture. A voice crackled through static, one no system should have carried. It whispered, "You were never meant to be here," and the words echoed like glass breaking across endless corridors of neon light. Ethan froze as his avatar shimmered, pixels peeling from his arm like burning paper. His heart pounded, trapped between reality and illusion. Maya said, "Did you hear that it sounded alive?" The digital air bent, and for an instant, the room dissolved into darkness, replaced by an infinite white void. Ethan screamed, but the sound warped, replaying backward in his ears. A shadow figure flickered before him, no face, only mirrors, and then it was gone. The world returned, yet nothing felt safe. His HUD glitched red, and across it scrawled impossible text: "Betrayal begins with trust." He clenched his fists. This world is wrong. Ethan gasped as the hub reformed around him, but its glow no longer felt welcoming. Every shadow looked sharp, every sound hollow. Maya whispered, "That wasn't normal, Ethan. Something's inside the system." He nodded, his fists trembling. The voice still echoed in his head, telling him he did not belong. He stared at his reflection on the polished floor, but the face staring back was not his. It was twisted, smiling faintly with eyes that belonged to no human. "Did you see that?" Ethan muttered. Maya stepped closer, her hand brushing his sleeve, but the reflection vanished into ripples of neon. Fear clawed at Ethan's chest. The metaverse was not supposed to bleed like this, not supposed to fight back. "We need answers," he said, his tone colder than he felt. The hum of the servers deepened, vibrating in Ethan's bones. He stepped cautiously toward a floating console, its symbols scrambled into nonsense. Maya said, "It looks like someone rewrote the code." Ethan hovered his hand above the controls, but they pulsed red, warning him away. A whisper slithered through the silence, not through speakers but through his mind. "Do you really think she won't betray you?" Ethan recoiled, glancing at Maya, whose brow furrowed in confusion. "What did you hear?" she asked. His voice cracked. "It knows me." The console exploded in sparks, scattering shards of light like broken glass. Maya grabbed his arm. "We need to log out." Ethan shook his head, panic tightening his chest. "If this thing can reach us here, it won't let us leave." The air itself warped, shimmering like heat waves as the system shuddered again. Ethan stumbled, gripping a railing that wasn't supposed to exist in this simulation. Maya said, "It's rewriting the world in real time." Her voice cracked with awe and dread. He looked up as the ceiling split open, revealing not sky, but a dome of swirling code numbers cascading like rain. "This isn't possible," Ethan muttered. A shape formed in the code, a silhouette, faceless yet watching. His pulse hammered. "Why you sus?" The answer came as text dripping across the dome. "Trust is your weakness." Maya's hand trembled at her side, torn between reaching for Ethan or running. "Ethan," she whispered, "we need to decide now." The dome flickered, and for a moment Ethan felt the walls breathing as if the metaverse itself were alive. He said, "It's testing us." Maya shook her head violently. "No, it's hunting you." He clenched his fists, anger rising to mask his fear. His reflection returned in a glass panel, but this time it smirked before vanishing. "I won't break," Ethan growled. Maya whispered, "Don't lie to yourself." A low hum rose beneath them, the floor trembling, fragments of neon falling like ash. Ethan's HUD flared red again, new text slashing across his vision. "Every betrayal begins as love." His chest tightened, his thoughts spiraling. He didn't know which part scared him more, the system's words, or the fact that deep down, they felt true. Ethan logged out only to find the real world no safer than the metaverse. His tiny apartment glowed faintly with the light of failing neon outside. He slumped into his chair, pulling the headset off with trembling hands. Maya's voice still lingered in his mind, and the text burned across his eyes. He whispered, "I'm losing myself." He walked to the cracked mirror on his wall, staring at the reflection of a young man who looked exhausted, haunted. Ethan muttered, "You're nothing outside the mask." His phone buzzed with a message from Maya. "We need to talk." He typed back quickly, "Meet me at the cafe." His stomach turned, knowing that in reality his strength vanished. In the metaverse he was powerful, but here he was just Ethan, forgotten, weak, and alone. The cafe buzzed with chatter, yet Ethan felt like every voice cut into his skin. Maya sat at the corner table waiting, her jacket draped over the chair. She smiled when she saw him, but her eyes betrayed worry. "You look worse than last night," she said softly. Ethan sat opposite, lowering his gaze. "I can't tell what's real anymore," he admitted. Maya leaned forward, whispering, "We'll figure this out, but you can't keep hiding." He flinched as laughter echoed from a group nearby, convinced they were mocking him. His hands clenched around the coffee mug. "They don't see me. They never do. Only in there I matter." Maya reached across the table, her hand brushing his. "You matter here too." He wanted to believe her, but the words rang hollow. Later that night, Ethan wandered the rain-soaked streets, his hood pulled low. Neon lights reflected off puddles like fractured code. His thoughts echoed with the warning, "Trust is your weakness." He muttered, "Why me?" to the empty street. A billboard flickered above, glitching to reveal the same phrase in red before fading back to an ad. Ethan stumbled backward, his breath catching. A stranger passed by, staring briefly as if sensing his panic. Ethan whispered, "Even here it follows me." He tightened his fists and walked faster, desperate to outrun shadows that clung to every corner. Somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered he would never escape. Maya invited Ethan to her small apartment the next day, determined to ground him in reality. She handed him tea, her voice gentle. "You're not alone, Ethan. Don't forget that." He sat on the couch, staring at the steam rising from the cup. "It doesn't feel like enough," he admitted. Maya sat beside him, her expression heavy with concern. "You don't have to carry it all," she said. Ethan turned toward her, eyes hollow. "What if it's already too late? What if I'm already theirs?" His voice trembled as he gripped the cup tighter. Maya placed her hand on his shoulder. "Then I'll fight to bring you back." For the first time, Ethan allowed himself to lean into her presence. That night, Ethan returned to the metaverse, desperate for escape. The hub greeted him with vibrant colors, but he sensed cracks beneath its surface. Maya's avatar shimmered into view, smiling faintly. "You came back," she said. Ethan nodded stiffly. "I can't stay away." They walked together through glowing corridors, their steps echoing. Ethan whispered, "Do you ever wonder if it's watching us even now?" Maya glanced at him nervously. "I feel it too." Suddenly the lights flickered and shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls. Ethan's chest tightened. He whispered, "It knows we're here." The metaverse hub expanded into a vast arena where avatars gathered for combat trials, each duel broadcasted to crowds like digital coliseums. Ethan stood at the center, his leather jacket avatar glowing faintly under neon lights, while thousands of eyes burned holes into him. Maya whispered over the private channel, "You don't have to do this, Ethan." He clenched his jaw. "If I back down now, they'll see me as weak." A rival avatar stepped forward, tall, armored in obsidian plating with crimson edges, movements unnaturally sharp. The crowd roared, chanting for blood. Ethan's stomach twisted, realizing this wasn't just a trial. Someone had set him up. His opponent smirked and said, "This will be quick." The fight began with a flash of steel and static. Ethan swung first, but his blade glitched through the enemy's chest harmlessly, triggering laughter from the stands. His face burned. The system was rigged, humiliating him before all. Maya shouted, "It's not your fault." But her voice was drowned by jeers. Text scrolled across Ethan's vision again, mocking him. "Every weakness will be exposed." His chest tightened as he staggered back. He had never felt so powerless, not even in reality. The duel ended not with Ethan's victory but with his collapse. The enemy struck with code that bypassed all defenses, his avatar crumbling to static before the entire arena. Ethan screamed as pain lanced through his nerves, a sensation that shouldn't exist in virtual space but did. He lay on the ground, humiliated, watching the crowd erupt in cruel laughter. Maya rushed to his side, her avatar kneeling beside his flickering body. She said, "They're hacking the rules, Ethan. This isn't you failing." He coughed, voice trembling. "Doesn't matter. They saw me break." Above them, a giant holographic banner replayed his defeat in slow motion, amplifying his humiliation. Ethan buried his face in his hands, but the system wasn't done. His HUD displayed a new message: "Your ally will betray you." His eyes snapped to Maya instinctively, and for a second doubt poisoned his heart. Maya noticed his stare, her expression tightening with pain. "Don't look at me like that," she whispered. The silence that followed cut deeper than the enemy's strike. After the arena disaster, Ethan disconnected violently, ripping off his headset. His apartment blurred with tears as he gasped for air. Maya called his name through the comms, but he ignored her. He stumbled to the mirror again, staring at himself with disgust. "You're nothing," he muttered. The reflection warped, showing not his real face, but the shadow, faceless and grinning with mirrored skin. "You blame them, but it's you," the figure whispered from the glass. Ethan staggered back, shaking his head. "You're not real." The reflection chuckled. "Neither are you." His phone buzzed again, Maya begging him to respond. He punched the mirror, shards raining onto the floor, blood smearing across his knuckles. "Leave me alone," he growled, but he wasn't sure who he meant. Maya, the shadow, or himself. The next day, Ethan met Maya at a deserted VR courtyard, meant for training. She appeared in her white suit avatar, arms folded tight. "You scared me yesterday," she said softly. Ethan avoided her gaze. "The system says, you'll betray me." Her face twisted. "You think I'd ever do that?" His silence was answer enough. Anger flared in her eyes. "After everything I've done to stand by you? You believe a glitch over me?" He clenched his fists. "It's not just a glitch, Maya. It knows us. It knows me." She stepped closer, trembling. "Then fight it with me, not against me." Ethan's voice cracked. "I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore." She touched his arm, but he pulled away. The distance between them grew heavier than silence. Later that night, Ethan returned alone to the arena, standing in the empty stands where the crowd had mocked him. The silence pressed in, unbearable. He whispered, "Why me?" His HUD flickered with a new message: "Because betrayal is the only truth you trust." His knees buckled, and he dropped onto the steps. The shadow appeared on the arena floor below, raising its faceless head toward him. "You invited this," it hissed. Ethan shouted, "Show yourself." But the figure only laughed, sound echoing across the empty seats. For the first time, Ethan felt the line blur. Maybe this wasn't the metaverse at all. Maybe he had never left. His chest tightened as dread swallowed him whole. The VR courtyard glowed faintly under a pale simulated moon. Ethan stood with Maya, silence stretched heavy between them. She broke it first, her voice low. "You don't believe me anymore, do you?" He swallowed hard, unable to answer. Doubt still clung to him like chains. The system's words echoed in his head, twisting everything. She sighed. "I've risked everything to stay by your side." Ethan looked away, guilt gnawing. The world flickered, and a message streaked across the sky: "The knife is already at your back." Ethan spun, but nothing stood there. He muttered, "I can't fight if I don't know who to trust." Maya's eyes darkened. "Then maybe you'll never survive this." Later that evening, Ethan followed a trail of corrupted code that led him to a broken sector. The walls bled static, and fragments of avatars hung frozen mid-motion. He whispered, "What is this place?" A voice answered from the shadows, "The truth you've been avoiding." He turned to see the shadow, faceless and shimmering. It tilted its head and said, "The one closest to you already chose their side." Ethan's chest tightened. "You're lying." The figure stepped closer, its mirrored surface reflecting Maya's face for an instant. Ethan staggered back, fear surging. No, not her. The shadow's laugh echoed like shattering glass. You'll see soon enough. Ethan returned to the hub, heart pounding. He found Maya waiting, her avatar glowing faintly. She smiled, but it looked forced. Where were you? She asked. He hesitated, studying her carefully. I saw something. It showed me you. Her face hardened. You're letting it poison you. Ethan clenched his fists. Then tell me why the shadow wore your face. Maya's expression flickered, a crack slipping through her calm. Because it knows you'll believe anything that breaks us, she said sharply. His voice trembled. So, I'm just paranoid. She stepped closer, whispering, or maybe you're finally seeing the truth. Ah! Ethan's breath caught, fear and confusion twisting into a single knot. The betrayal came without warning. During a joint mission inside a corrupted corridor, Ethan turned his back to block incoming code attacks. He shouted, "Stay close, Maya." But instead of support, he felt a piercing shock through his chest. His avatar flickered violently, pain radiating like fire. He turned slowly, eyes wide, to see Maya holding the blade. Her expression twisted with guilt and fury. "I'm sorry, Ethan," she whispered, "but I can't keep living in your shadow." He gasped, unable to breathe. "Why?" Her voice cracked. "Because you were never meant to survive this." Ethan staggered backward, collapsing to his knees. The blade dissolved from his chest into particles, leaving his avatar cracked with glowing fractures. Maya stood over him, trembling, her weapon fading into smoke. "I didn't want this," she said, her voice breaking. Ethan looked up, eyes hollow. "Then why?" she whispered. "Because they promised me freedom." His HUD glitched violently, and across it burned new text, "Betrayal complete." Ethan's breath shook as rage burned beneath the pain. "You were all I had." Maya turned away, tears in her eyes, as the corridor around them collapsed into darkness. The void swallowed Ethan whole after Maya's betrayal, his avatar flickering with fractured lines of light. He drifted through endless darkness until a faint glow emerged ahead. A mirror floated in the void, massive and unbroken, its surface rippling like water. Ethan whispered, "What is this?" The reflection shifted, showing not himself but the shadow, faceless and towering. "You already know," it said, its voice a distorted version of his own. Ethan clenched his fists. "You're not me." The shadow tilted its head. "I am every part you bury, every shame, every rage, every weakness. Without me, you are nothing." Ethan's pulse thundered, his body trembling. For the first time, he realized the greatest enemy might not be outside, but within. The shadow stepped out of the mirror, its mirrored skin reflecting Ethan's broken form with cruel clarity. Ethan staggered back, rage and fear warring within him. "You don't belong here," he shouted. The shadow's reply cut deep. "I belong everywhere you do, because I am you. I am the reason Maya betrayed you. I am the weight that makes everyone turn away." Ethan's throat tightened. "No, she chose to betray me." The shadow leaned close, voice a whisper that shook the void. "She only did what you already feared she would. Your doubt made it real." Ethan's chest burned with fury, but he couldn't deny the truth in those words. Ethan swung at the shadow, his blade sparking with energy, but every strike passed through empty air. The shadow laughed, its voice layered and hollow. "You can't fight me with force." Ethan roared, swinging again, his desperation growing. The shadow caught his arm mid-swing, its grip freezing him. "You fight me, but you fight yourself," it hissed. Ethan's body shuddered as memories flooded him. Childhood humiliations, failures, betrayals all playing across the void. He screamed, "Get out of my head!" The shadow whispered, "I never left." The shadow released Ethan, and he collapsed to his knees, clutching his chest. He gasped, feeling cracks widening across his avatar. The shadow circled him slowly. "You let them all betray you because you cannot even trust yourself." Ethan shook his head violently. I'm not you, I'm stronger. The shadow crouched, face inches from his, though faceless eyes glowed faintly. Then prove it. Face what you are instead of hiding behind masks. Ethan's breath trembled as he forced himself upright. I am not broken. Not yet. Ethan rose slowly, his body trembling but his gaze steady. The shadow straightened, arms wide, as if welcoming him. Ethan said, "You are part of me, but you don't control me." The shadow tilted its head. "We'll see." The void trembled as both avatars ignited with neon light, one fractured, the other flawless. Ethan tightened his grip on his blade, fury and clarity burning together. "This ends now." The shadow whispered, "No, this begins now." Their clash exploded with light, shattering the void around them into infinite shards. Ethan finally realized that fighting the shadow was not about winning, but surviving who he truly was. The shattered void reassembled into a massive war zone of burning code, skyscrapers collapsing into neon ash. Ethan stood at its center, his fractured body glowing brighter, blade humming with unstable energy. Across the battlefield, Maya appeared, her white suit darkened, eyes burning with regret and defiance. She whispered, "I didn't want this, but you forced me." Ethan growled, "You chose them over me." Above them, the shadow loomed, laughing like thunder. "Fight her, Ethan. Prove you were never worthy of trust." Ethan's chest ached, torn between love and rage. He raised his blade. "If this is what it takes to survive, I'll fight." Ethan charged, their blades colliding with an explosion of neon sparks that tore the ground apart. Maya countered fiercely, her movements precise, driven by desperation. "You don't understand, Ethan," she shouted. "They promised me freedom from this prison." Ethan's voice cracked with rage. "You sold me out for freedom." Every clash rattled the world, fragments of buildings collapsing into the void. The shadows circled them like a predator, whispering poison into both minds. "See how easily trust burns," it said. Ethan roared, his strikes heavier, fueled by heartbreak, but Maya met him blow for blow, her eyes glistening with unspoken sorrow. Their battle raged across the ruins, neon storms swirling around them. Ethan's strength faltered under the weight of betrayal, every strike slower than the last. Maya's voice trembled as she fought. "I never wanted to hurt you, but I couldn't keep being invisible beside you." Ethan staggered, pain in his chest, sharper than any blade. "You were never invisible to me." She hesitated for a heartbeat, her weapon lowering slightly. The shadow hissed, "Finish it. Break him." Maya's eyes hardened again, fear pushing her. She attacked once more, but Ethan caught her strike. Their blades locked, faces inches apart, tears mixing with fury. Ethan broke free from the lock, unleashing a desperate surge of energy. His blade erupted with neon fire, striking the ground and sending shockwaves across the battlefield. Maya was thrown back, her avatar flickering. Ethan staggered, clutching his chest as the cracks widened. "I can't let this end with you," he whispered. Maya rose, trembling, eyes filled with sorrow. "Then let it end with both of us." She charged again, her cry echoing with pain and fury. The shadow spread its arms wide, feeding on their conflict, the storm above glowing brighter. Ethan screamed, "I won't be your fuel anymore." The storm reached its peak as Ethan and Maya clashed one final time. Sparks exploded, their blades locked, faces contorted with grief and fury. Ethan shouted, "I loved you." Maya cried, "And I envied you." Their weapons shattered, fragments scattering into the void. Both collapsed to the ground, avatars breaking apart under the strain. The shadow's laughter shook the ruins. "This is the truth of trust. Betrayal is the only end." Ethan's body glowed violently, his HUD screaming warnings. He whispered through blood and static, "No, this isn't the end. Not yet." The battlefield cracked, ready to collapse into nothingness. The battlefield quaked, broken towers of code collapsing like dying giants as Ethan lay barely breathing, His avatar fractured into glowing shards that pulsed with each heartbeat. Maya crawled toward him, her white suit in tatters, eyes drowning in guilt. She whispered, "I never wanted it to end like this." Ethan coughed, his voice raw. "But you made it end this way." Above them, the shadow grew enormous, its mirror surface reflecting both their ruined forms. It thundered, "You are the proof. Love rots into envy. Trust always becomes betrayal." Ethan struggled to rise, his body shaking violently. Maya reached for him, tears streaking her avatar's cheeks. "Let me help you, just once more." Ethan turned, staring at her, a storm of grief and fury inside him. He rasped, "You chose your side. I'll choose mine." His blade ignited again, its light brighter than the collapsing world around them. Ethan forced himself upright, swaying but unbroken. The shadow's voice dripped poison. "You think you can kill me? You'd be killing yourself." Ethan roared, "Then I'll burn with you." He charged forward, his fractured blade tearing through the air. Maya cried out, "Ethan, stop!" But her words vanished into the roar of collapsing code. The shadow met his strike, the clash exploding into pure light, tearing the battlefield apart. Ethan screamed as the glow consumed him, his own reflection flashing inside the shadow's body. He realized the truth. The shadow wasn't his enemy, it was his unclaimed self. Ethan shouted, "Then I'll accept you, but I won't let you rule me." The shadow shrieked, its form splintering into shards of mirrored glass, the battlefield trembling with its death cries. The shadow's collapse sent shockwaves through the void, the entire metaverse shattering like fragile glass. Ethan was thrown into the air, his body glowing as if it would tear apart. Maya was flung across the ruins, her avatar flickering violently. She screamed, "Ethan!" but her voice was drowned by the roar of collapsing worlds. Ethan hung suspended in the glow, visions flooding his mind. Every betrayal, every wound, every time he doubted himself. The system whispered its last cruel words. Another one logged out. He screamed, fighting the pull, refusing to vanish. "No, I am still here." His voice ripped through the storm, his body blazing brighter. He realized survival wasn't about rejecting pain but carrying it. He was fractured, but still whole enough to rise. His scream silenced the storm, and the shards of the metaverse froze in midair, waiting for his choice. Silence fell as the light dimmed. Ethan floated down onto fractured ground, his body glowing with faint cracks, but still intact. Maya staggered toward him, trembling. "You survived," she whispered, tears streaming. Ethan looked at her, his face torn between love and devastation. "I survived, but not because of you." Her expression crumbled, guilt consuming her. "I can't undo what I did." Ethan shook his head slowly. "No one can." He turned away, the broken world behind him reflecting his shattered trust. Maya fell to her knees, sobbing, while Ethan walked into the ruins, every step heavy with loss. Ethan reached the edge of the void, his HUD flickering with static. He whispered, "It's not over. It never ends." His avatar pulsed once before dissolving into fragments. The headset fell from his head in the real world, clattering onto the floor of his dark apartment. His body slumped forward in the chair, chest rising shallowly. On his cracked screen, the words appeared, "Betrayal always comes from the one you trust most." The screen flickered again, and a final chilling line appeared, another one logged out. The room fell silent, the glow of the monitor the only witness.